I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. B.K. Ramesh, Senior Vice President Global Sales, Utthunga Products and Technology Services for Connectivity and Device Integration. He has worked in NC Machine Controls, Vision-Guided Robotics, Industrial and Vehicle Network, and Embedded Systems with leading companies like Bharat Electronics, Moog Controls, Motorola, Dearborn Electronics. Ramesh is a founding member of FDT India organization with members from Schneider, Honeywell, Yokogawa, Flowserve. I would request him to come on the stage.
So thank you for the introduction and good afternoon to all. So today the topic that I'm going to talk about is on integration of device intelligence. As in the last, since yesterday, we have been hearing about a lot on the digital transformation, and there was a lot of practical applications that we also saw today from Mitsubishi, and also various other topics on the digital transformation that has been talked about. So what I'm going to address is on the enabling standards that are there today, which is, I would say, mostly hidden from the perspective of the application side. So I will talk about some of these standards called the FDT, and also further go up to how this FDT is working with the OPC UA, which many of you are aware of, and then look at this as the building blocks for the Industrial 4.0. So I would like to start with a couple of things. One is I would like to introduce about the FDT Group, which I would say many of you would not be aware of what the FDT Group is. And I also talk about the organization in India, what FDT is planning to do here, and the overview of the technology of the FDT technology that I just give a bit about it. And then go with some success story about end user success with using the FDT. And then I'll talk about the OPC thing, which is coming up with the FDT, which is activity from the working group of the FDT, and also the next steps in the future of how it is being visualized and the activities that are shaping up on this one. So the first is just an introduction about the FDT Group. FDT Group is a non-profit organization which is incorporated in Belgium. So of course it's a member-driven organization, so where we have different groups within the memberships. We have marketing group, the technology groups, compliance, standards associations, and administration groups. So it's a group which is having all the members within these working groups, and the technology groups works on the specification standards. So there are about 90 companies. I would say most of the companies here also are a part of the FDT, I would think so. Now coming to the India objectives of FDT, when we started about 2 years back, its main objective is to bring in the awareness of these technology in India, mainly with the end users, and support the market needs here. And of course, the members are the main marketing platform for the UE events that we do. And we're also doing the community from the developer thing, supporting on training and the workshops on the FDT, and also sharing the best practices with all the members. And there is also local certification capabilities, and we have already a test center here. Utthunga is one of the test centers for the FDT certification accredited by the FDT Group. And of course, main thing is how we bring in local membership here and build in a consortium within the community. That's what is the thing. So here we have today from the India members, we have about 6 or 7 members, which are some service providers, then there are some control system manufacturers and device manufacturers within this group today. So what we are looking at is the participation from the end users with this, and also some of the other automation companies, so that we form a bigger consortium to support or take to support in the issues that are there with the integration front. So I look forward for that part. So now I'll talk about some of the basics of the technology, what it is. So the FDT standard as such is a standard that allows any compliant device to be integrated into the applications which are on the control system. So for example, the device vendor will provide a kind of a driver called the DTM. So the DTM will represent the device, and it represents the configuration part. It has the diagnostics, the troubleshooting aspects, the manuals. So all these are covered as a part of a DTM, which is delivered along with the device by the device manufacturer. And then the host system, of course, are hosting all these DTMs, and some of the applications that are there are the configuration applications which are traditionally available today by all the, like the field care, the field mate, asset management systems like the AMS, the FDM from various companies. So irrespective of any device type, any vendor, or any mix of industry buses, so FDT supports all different protocols. So that is one of the beauty of this, because one of the issues that we talked about yesterday was interoperability and how interoperability can be addressed at the device level. So today, like how we bring these information in a standardized format is where the FDT is going to help with. So what are the key features of the standard is, one is it is extendable to any industry bus. It's not limited that, today there are about 17 protocols that are supported by the FDT Group. But there are new things that gets added on. So one is the ISA 100 for annex has been started, it is recently added. And another feature is there is a transparent communication that happens that allows the application to talk to the device, so irrespective of any protocol or any. So and the important thing now is the security, which is a very I would say main requirement, and the FDT standard supports a layered security model based on the .NET 4.0. So which is the latest version that FDT 2.0, which is what it's called, supported. However, it is backward compatible. And in terms of the track record, its FDT standard is active since about 10 years now. And there are millions of devices that have got shipped with these FDT standard, and about tens and thousands of hosts which are installed with the FDT. And more than that, it is supported by about more than 90 companies. So the FDT is also a worldwide, it's an international standard based on the IEC. It's also an ANSI standard from the ISA, and then the China standard as well. So it's an international standard, and so it is very well known. So in terms of how the DTM that I talked about as the drivers, where all it integrates in various applications like the device setup tools or engineering tools or the HMIs or the asset management or condition monitoring kind of tools. So all these are the some of the examples. So I'll go show some examples about how these are done. So I'll say, there are some examples of the DTMs, like the graphical user interfaces. So, for example, the DTMs provide the representation of the device. I told it has got a business logic, and it's got the user interface representing the how you would like to configure the device. So there are various graphics here. For example, this is some of the graphics that showing the device setup, and there are some screens here showing from another customer like Vega having the level device with the tank. So depending on the complexity of the graphics that are required, so you can build in those graphics within the DTMs actually. And there are some other examples I have from the drives. So these drives are from the factory automation. So FDT also supports factory automation as well. So there are DTMs now as integration, which can be done as a standalone tool, or we can also look at these DTMs also to be integrated into in engineering tools, where you can have the same look and feel of the device interface from the user interface side, or to doing the configuration. So it's a quick and easy way of doing the diagnostics with these kind of setups. And most important, not just only doing a configuration thing, but there are DDMs which are doing the network level diagnostics as well. So the network diagnostics which can also be brought up. So where you could look at network issues which could be related to, let's for example, the terminator. So if some terminator is missing out, so you'll be able to figure out the missed terminator within this DTM. So the DTMs would be a very good diagnostic interface. And more than that, it supports the various symbols from the normal NE 107 guidelines. So that is another plus point of the FDT. So there's another complex thing as well. So you, like from the valve manufacturer, looking at a partial stroke test. So you could also build DTMs which are trying to do the partial stroke test and doing the compliance testing of this. So like this, you can build in any different functions which can be simple to complex kind of methods. So now these are the DTMs, but where are these hosted? So these are hosted in an application called the FRAME application. And these FRAME application represents like a project tree where you would see so you see the configuration of the DTMs as in one side, and then the physical and the architecture of the plant layout you could see there. So using this kind of frame application, you will be able to have a single window to manage your devices. So overall, I would say it's the versatile communication that is brought up here, which could be from a point-to-point, or it could be from a mobile interface, or a network or centralized communications. So the overall, this technology can be used at various life cycle phases. So right from commissioning, where you would use it for doing the commissioning the configuration of these devices, right up to the maintenance and diagnostics. So it supports the complete life cycle. And main thing is this being supporting the transparent routing across different networks. So where all the networks are supported, remote diagnostics can be supported on this. And also smart information access is made available through gateways or remote IOs and any other devices actually. So the open-ended integration. So like I said, about 17 protocols today are supported with both process and factory supported protocols. And any other protocols gets added because that's the job of FDT Group to add more protocols depending on the industry needs. So I would say from intelligence perspective, there are already intelligence available, and now to integrate these intelligence is, I would say, is a matter of, not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when. So that is important for how we take this information out. And the standards that I'm talking about are all risk-free standards, because already proven standards, you have various members working on the standards, and so henceforth it's risk-free, and it brings in the low cost in many cases, because yesterday there was somebody talking that how cost effective it is going to be when you're trying to move in from one, from an IoT perspective of your devices to provide the data access. And of course, you will be able to maximize the existing assets. That is the first part that is more important for what we are here to look at. And more important, the FDT enables the normal features, so which is also important from the diagnostic perspective, because the maintenance technicians would be able to really visualize what the problems are with respect to what it is happening. So now these were some of the topics from a, I would say, overview of the FDT standard. And now I'll look at how this end user, for example, has benefited or some success with using the FDT. So I have some example with a company called MOL, the MOL Group, which is based in Hungary. And this is some of the information that I got from the FDT Group, who has done this information. So what problem they had was to improve the plant reliability, which is one of the main problems, of course. And the solution was they wanted to use the existing devices and to provide the early warning of the impending problem. and also to reduce the downtime and reduce the unscheduled, I would say, the shutdowns. So this is the main problem that was outlined for this particular end user. And what was the method they used was they used the FTT-enabled applications. So as I said, FTT is a standard, but it is not a product, but it is a kind of an enabler. So it is found in applications. So FTT-enabled applications are used, and the intelligent device information that comes from the devices is seen using the DDMS. So they are used to deliver the valuable information to the stakeholders. That was the method that was used. So I have one of the examples is only from the MOL. I don't have the shell. I did have, but I don't have the time to talk about that case. So the MOL is a Danube Refinery, which is in Hungary, in Budapest. So this was about having 30,000 devices, intelligent devices there. And it had control systems from Emerson, Honeywell, and Yokogawa. And there are devices, of course, from Emerson, Anderson-Hasser, and Yokogawa. Again, valves, Fisher, Flowser, and Samsung. So there was an interesting thing about a commitment from this MOL group, because I just wanted to bring it up. So here the commitment from this MOL group was to predictive and proactive maintenance strategy as a part of a long-term maintenance plan. And they wanted to use the device information for carrying out the maintenance task, from an efficiency perspective. So what they've also stipulated since 2003 was only intelligent devices need to be purchased. So that was one of the underlying thing here. So, and then they wanted to leverage on the benefits of the device information. And most important is they're committed to use the information from the field bus protocol. So that is one of the other important commitment that the MOL group came in. So the main thing that they came out with this kind of predictive or the intelligent device intelligence is moving from the reactive towards the proactive. So what is the benefit they got out of this? So they found out, because the main thing the MOL had was the problem with their valves. And the replacement of the valves without the diagnostic information, they were replacing all the valves. So irrespective whether the problem was there in the valves or not, they used to replace it. So what they decided was to go in for an online mechanism of diagnostics. And most of them, of course, the valves, I was told, is all heart-based valves. And these heart-based valves, the communication was on heart, and the information was taken into a central maintenance system where they used to get the information about the impending failures. So using these diagnostic information, where they use the DTM to do the measurement, they were able to reduce the turnaround time. Because earlier when they had to replace about, let's say about 200 valves, so today they are replacing about 30, 40 valves. So because most of the cases they know where the problem is today, and then they are trying to reduce the cost of maintenance. So I'm showing the, so if you see here the blue thing which says about the number of valves that are scheduled for maintenance, and the red indicates the turnaround when they use the diagnostics. So you can see the number of turnaround at each different stages. They are a very less turnover, I would say less than 10 valves. So the bottom line benefits which MOL achieved out of this is using all these at different stages. You see the case one, which is maintenance cost was pretty high without diagnostics. And with using the hard diagnostics, the online diagnostics, they were able to achieve very low turnover, and the cost of maintenance was reduced drastically. So I'll share with you some figures which they gave in terms of what cost benefit they achieved. So they achieved a reduced number of control valves needing to be removed, because they didn't have to remove all the valves. So they were able to save around $216,000. And reduction in the number of work orders because of this. So because they were able to do a timely repairs since they had the informed information. And there was another station they were able to do avoiding the valve removal, which is $840,000. And the hydrogen plant, which was a 2 to 5 day shutdown, saved another $940,000. So overall, if you count all this, there is a significant cost benefit that this MOL group achieved out of it. So this is one of the examples which we got from the FDT Group. I don't have the shell. I do have, but I cannot share here. And also we are trying to work, FDT Group is working with the Reliance Refinery here also to get some of the, I would say, the similar data in terms of what benefit they have achieved, because Reliance Refinery is using a lot of FDT technology in the applications. So going further, I would say with the competitive advantage that is brought using this device diagnostics or device intelligence is basically now to look at the changing the culture. So I would say, because we have already, since yesterday we've been talking about how the change of culture is required in terms of what benefit we do from a risk-based thing. So there is going to be, I would say, from these kinds of standards, there is a low risk that is involved because it's a proven standard. And so which you can use the device intelligence from integrating it for the benefit of the, and achieving the competitiveness like what MOL has achieved. And of course, participating in the industrial Internet of Things, what is happening. And finally, I would say the FDT technology is very much there to support this digital transformation. So another message is from the end user side is to take inventory of the intelligent devices that you have. So you could also look at the device suppliers to get the DTMs, or visit this particular website and find out what are the certifiable DTMs that are there. And also check if the system or the application that you have is FDT enabled. And if not, you'll be able to speak to any of the suppliers to get these application to be FDT enabled. Or if you're looking at a new construction or an upgrade of this particular thing. So there are already professionals here, and our, the member companies that are there today are ready to help in this part. But of course, the main thing is you need to make sure that you specify FDT, and we look at the demand for the products come from the end user. So we look at the end user driving more in this part. And from a supplier's perspective, who is looking at how to develop DTMs and how to develop the interfaces or to do the customization of this. So you can easily get to the india@fdtgroup.com. So that's our email. So we will be able to help on that. So that is all about from the FDT side. So you got some picture about how the standard is gaining some the benefit from the device intelligence and the competitive advantage. Now I go towards how FDT is getting married to OPC UA. And most of you already know about OPC UA as a data interchange open interface standard for exchanging the data from your control system right up to the enterprise. So today the OPC UA is one of the standards that supports various information models. And so there are a lot of collaborative models that are there. FDT is one of the collaborative standard that is going to get mapped into the OPC UA information model. So basically that is where I would like to talk about some work that is happening with the group. There is a working group that is working between the OPC and the FDT, and the standard is being worked out. And there's a prototyping activity which is started for coming out with a OPC UA-based FDT server. So this specification for mapping the FDT device model to the OPC UA model is in progress. I think the specification is due by October 2015. And there are next steps, of course. I will also share about the next step beyond how it's happening. So some of the use cases that I would say the project is being looked at is to target asset management from a device perspective, device asset management, and diagnostics of the devices, predictive maintenance, and mobile access. So mobile access is another use case that is being worked out with this prototype actually. So this standard from a FDT to an OPC UA standard definition is where, as I said, the project that is being worked is implementing a OPC UA server, which is based on the FDT2 specification. So there will be a standard FDT2 OPC UA Information Model, which is an extension of the OPC UA device integration. It's called OPC UA DI layer. And then there is a mapping functions from the DTMs to the this particular layer. So that is what is the specification which is being worked out. So what is involved in this particular activities is, number one, is the creation of the FDT2 and OPC UA information model. So what are the stages that are involved? So first thing is you have a topology of the network, so with all your devices on this network, and you use an engineering tool to do all the configuration of this network, and that will be used to generate a FDT2 OPC UA information model. So in the OPC UA information model, you also bring in the information from the DTMs that are added to it. For example, like these DTMs, like a device type information, what type of parameters that you want to bring in, what type of IO information, and what are the supporting functions that are there with the DTMs. So then you create a OPC UA server configuration with this. So you create a server configuration based on what you have created now with the engineering tool on the information model. So this is the steps where you have an OPC UA server available to you. So what happens today with all this thing is maybe if you have quickly understood it. So I told about a frame, I told about a DTM. So now OPC UA server becomes a frame application here. So the frame, which was a particular application, a separate application running on the control system, now it becomes a part of a OPC server itself. So the object, which was the frame object, now it is integrated inside the OPC server along with the DTMs. So then you will have an OPC DI client being developed, and the OPC DI client will do the access. So what is being planned today is very minimal access today in terms of parameters, IOs, and also doing some data read and write, and of course the execution of these functions. So still the graphics part needs to be worked out within the OPC UA DI client. So going further, there's another thought that is going on in terms of OPC UA enabled devices. So now I think most of the manufacturers today have a OPC UA server which is already embedded on the device itself. Now if you have an OPC UA server embedded on the device, so we will have the application related things having the DTM having an OPC UA client. So it's another version of things. You'll have a OPC client which is COM DTM and the device DTM mapping through this standard which is coming up. So what are the components of the future coming up beyond this, the OPC UA servers with the FDT2? And beyond that, like yesterday we heard about the integrated engineering where they're looking at the consistency of various workflow data packages. So the automation ML is one of the standard, which is, I would say most of them would be aware how this is bringing in the kind of data consistency across different engineering tool chain. So FDT is going to support this automation ML for doing from the network topology definition perspective. And then there is also the DTM, which I said is now coming into cloud. So you'll have a cloud-based DTM. So you will have the DTMs hosted on the cloud. So one of the companies is trying to work on this and demonstrate on this. So in the essence, how this would look at together is, so you will have a FDT system in your network hierarchy, which will be having the topology and network definition through the automation ML. And then the DTM cloud, we will do the DTM deployment and installation over the cloud. So today, all the DTMs are hosted on different servers, right? So now in the future, what you could do is you can do it remotely, you can put it on a cloud, you'll be able to do a lot of instantiation with this. So through different, now the Internet of Things, you will have ways of communicating across the geographies with these DTMs, actually. So this is how it looks like. It's called automated engineering workflow. And how the current system will finally look like. So this is the next stage where the group is trying to work on, and some activities where I see some project going on with it. So I would like to just look at some amount of conclusion here, where I would like to bring the FDT advantage and the OPC advantage. The OPC advantage brings the consistency user interface for all the applications, because OPC is defined from an applications perspective. And FDT is mainly from device access, and so the device access for device configuration and device diagnostics. And the concept of now unification of the system engineering through the automation ML. And that is where the Industry 4.0 will be supported with this. And of course, FDT also says that it's not 4.0 alone, but it's backward compatible for 3.0 as well. And required extensions are for coming up with these OPC UA protocol NX and the AML, the automation ML NX as well. So this is in conclusion about what is happening from the standard perspective. And these are the standards or the building blocks. I think whatever you're trying to realize as a digital transformation, I would say this building blocks would be essential. And we have a lot of our the member companies, the service providers within our member companies, trying to serve or support in this particular initiative for the digital transformation, because getting the data is a very critical part. Because once you get the data, you will be able to apply that and do a lot of things out of it. So we are in that part. So we are in the other side of things where getting the data and meaningful data and getting different access to different data. So we have a live demo, in the stall here, and I would like you to go and visit our stall. And also our member companies can demonstrate some of these there. So thank you very much.